guy was just rotated in and out. So they just spammed it and got top 5. They probably have top 10. But yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, all right. So, all right. Now we're going to move on to the team fight spotlight on Towers of Doom.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Let me load that up.
Okay. So, as Bacon sets that up on the back end, Towerban, can you give like a little bit of brief introduction about this team fight?
Sure. This is a team fight with 5 of the GankBush Squad WinTimers members. Bacon, I think you run it too, Fringe, Tattlespike, me, and Loxley, I think. So it's level 10 to 10. The enemy team is trying to get boss. It was scouted by Muradin and Nubarak, and we're waiting in the bush, deciding when to go and face off, like, and challenge them for boss. But things go kind of wrong, and I just wanted to know, like, what were the mistakes that made it end up this way?
Yeah, so we have the team fight happening.
I have what I think happened, or because I looked over this replay afterwards, but hear what you all have to say.
What do you think happened?
What looks like happened to me is that we dove in before boss was completed, and Muradin and Ubarak tried to fight over the point when the point wasn't captured yet, or wasn't channeled, like right there. And then that left Lucio and Tracer kind of open and exposed to get dove on by Diablo and the other parts of the team.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went down from there. And I got hit by an APOC as well. I should have moved up, but I don't know what you guys think.
Okay. So with this fight, we've seen it a couple times on stream already. The biggest thing to take away is some of these fights sometimes are split-second decisions. This entire fight is decided within 3 seconds of it beginning, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you take from that? Pre-team fight positioning is really crucial. So making sure that you're standing where you need to stand right before the team fight happens. That way, when the team fight does start, you're there, not out of position and not caught out. So let's go over some of the quick things. Muradin. So Muradin, for the most part, did everything okay, I guess, considering the split-second decision-making. But maybe he jumped in a little too early because of Ape Apocalypse wasn't out yet. Also, the boss wasn't out yet. That way, if you're standing on the point and APOC goes out, that means you're standing on the apex because you have no choice. Maybe if you stood outside of it, APOC goes off, and then you jump on top of the point, you don't get hit by APOC, right? Because obviously that's what Diablo's going to open up with, because 99% of Diablos open up like that when a team fight starts. Anubarak, the biggest thing is the enemy had a Malthael, and Malthael took the one Tormented Souls. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wasn't
the heroic, yeah. Every fight outside of this fight, the Anubarak hit the cocoon, except for this one, and it kind of screwed up the tanks because of it. So that's the biggest mistake in this team fight for sure, not being able to hit that. And the reason he did it is because he thought he needed to dive in and stand on the point with Muradin. But because he did that, he got hit by APOC. He doesn't have a lot of health. Chromie was able to get a 2-man combo with Muradin and Anubarak. Anubarak ended up getting popped. So what are the other options for this Anubarak? Well, Muradin's already on the point. He's very tanky. He's going to survive quite a while. So what can you do? Hit the cocoon, first of all. But other thing is dive Chromie or help peel for the Lucio that died. Because Lucio gets dove on by Diablo and Uther. So Lucio got a good shield barrier off, but once you get hit by 3 different stuns, that's enough time for Lucio to get popped. And maybe if Anubarak was there, Lucio maybe survives. Who knows? Lucio entered the fight at the bottom left angle along with Tracer, and I feel like when the team fight started, the Muradins in the bush already, so we know where the Diablo is, and the Diablo ends up heading for the bottom left bush area, right where the Lucio is. And maybe if he entered through the top left or another angle that Diablo can't grab him, maybe he survives that and is able to get the shield barrier off at the same time. So I think him getting picked off was preventable just based on his positioning. He can wall ride and dodge APOC all day, so as long as he's away from an angle where Diablo can easily grab him, I think he survives this team fight. But maybe if he entered from the top left with Vala, even if Diablo chose to dive on up there, he has Q to try to save himself for Vala. Anyway, the Vala's big. Vala, not many huge mistakes, but some nitpicks. He was in the best position to dodge Apocalypse, but he just kind of stood there and took it. Yeah, so maybe dodging APOC. His QEQ combo, because he went arrow build, part of the damage was wasted on Diablo, and I think in this team fight there were better choices. There's a Malthael with 0 mana standing on the point. That's a pretty juicy target. Right now there's an Uther that's pretty low. That's a juicy target. I mean, but you don't really want to kill Uther, so I'd say try to get for the Lily. There are other options, but Diablo has spell shield. He has a lot of health. He's hard to kill, so better prioritizing of targets. And for me, I was playing Tracer. I was so distracted with Lucio dying when I went in with Lucio that I had poor target positioning. I put a lot of damage and unnecessary damage at that into Uther and Diablo, and with all that armor and healing, I wasn't going to do anything. So maybe if I went towards the top right bush area and started hitting Chromie and pushed Chromie out of the team fight, maybe that would have been a better choice. Or even Malthael, because I had a bomb ready for Malthael or anybody. And maybe if I landed the bomb on Malthael dies, there's less damage.
Yeah, but the biggest problem is that Anubarak dies with Cocoon still on cooldown. I mean, without that being used.
Yep.
It could have been a 4v5.
Yeah,
he took so much damage from Malthael because that R was on, and not cocooned.
Yeah, not cocooned.
Yep. And
I was just upset about this fight because they had brought the boss down pretty low and they had used mana. I think Lily was like half life or something before the team started, and we were all full life. We had like every opportunity to win that team fight. We ended up winning the game like pretty epically, but that team fight kind of stuck out to me. So
I'm gonna say my shot calling that game on point. After this,
wait, my shot calls were on point too. I had some shot calls in that game too.
You sprinkled in shot calls where it needed to be, but I remember having a chat in the middle of a game after this fight, like, dude, you only have one job. All you have to do is hit R on Malthael, and then from then on, he hit every single R on Malthael. So, I mean, good on him for not tilting to that point, but that was a good game.
Yeah, I think one job. You have one job. Just do that. We will carry you.
No, I think this is good because this happens a lot. Maybe not in Towers of Doom, but on Cursed Hollow or these other maps where you fight over points, and maybe you're trying to take over a point that another team's trying to take. So, like, when to go in exactly? Do you wait for like the boss to get killed and then jump in, or you jump in before the boss is dead?
Usually as it's dying, like 10%. You don't want to be standing on it too long because you'll be taking unnecessary boss damage.
Yeah, but do you want them to take the boss damage before you go in? You know what I mean?
Yeah, as much as possible.
Boss damage.
Yeah.
The start of the engage looked bad to me. The Muradin using his stun on Diablo when he's probably the worst target to hit, and nobody else to follow up damage because nobody was right next to him when he initiated that, and then jumping over the Diablo into the team with his stun down, leaving the enemy team to walk towards the squishies so they have no peel seemed a really bad initiate to me.
This kind of goes into sticking to your roles. Like I remember, like a couple months ago, I did a segment on this. Know what your role is and stick to it. So if we break down the rules, Anubarak with his heroic ultimate choice. Heroic choice is the anti-dive denier. He missed that role this team fight. Muradin, I mean, he's a good tanker and a good peeler, but outside of just kind of standing on that point, he didn't really do anything else. The Vala, she went siphoning arrow build, so she has a really large burst. She didn't really do that because she wasn't prioritizing the right targets. Tracer is a backline diver and distractor. She didn't really do that. Lucio is a very sneaky and fast healer, darting in and out, trying to hard to kill. He was the first one to die in that team fight, so he didn't stick to his role. Outside of getting a great sound barrier on, but none of the 5 on our team stick to our role and did our jobs. So that's why we lost
Too
the
many
team
people
fight.
got hit by the stun too.
Yeah.
Can't have 3 out of 5 of your players be getting hit by APOC and expect to win a team fight.
Yeah. But
I mean,
that game we won. It was 29-2, and we came back and won it.
Was it 29-2?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, they were
I thought
up
it was
that
just
many.
like 22 or something.
We
Yeah,
ended
they
up winning.
staggered deaths, and then we just snowballed it.
But let's go into the enemies' roles, right? Diablo and Uther, frontline peeler and crowd controller. They deleted Lucio. Lily is kind of like the backline supporter. She's doing that, supporting everybody and doing her spell damage build. Chromie's in the right side of the bush, away from the enemies, like throwing all the damage she wants out free. Like they stuck to their roles. That's why they won the team fight.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, we were in the bush. We could have initiated, like, we had all the time to prepare. We entered, like, them, like, into, like, their fight, and they were unprepared. So that was just a little disappointing. Like, we could have anything because we were all postured to enter the fight. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So towards, like, after this fight, we all started sticking to our roles. Like, I was able to distract Chromie and Aston. You guys were, Title Spike was able to land Cocoon on Malthael. So what's Uther, Lily, and Diablo gonna do? Jack shit.
Yeah. Very, very well said.
Jack and shit.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, there you go. So that's another team fight spotlight.
And in this
Again,
instance, minimap, looking at the minimap doesn't help.